Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to y'all. Quick report coming at you guys on Thursday's wrap up, or day number 8 for the Saints. A lot of stuff going on at the camp, a lot of moves, notes to kind of talk about on this stream. We'll be back later on with a more in-depth stream, man. But shout out to you guys. Do me a service, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And by means, please feel free to share the show on your social media feed. So, of course, when we talk about the black and gold, man, it's always something to talk about. We know the quarterback position is out there among, is paramount, is out there. It's at the top of what everybody's looking at, because it's the most important position on the team, on the field. You know, the QB having a good quarterback. So Spencer Rattler once again dominated the reps. 25 versus Tyler Shuck, 16, and Jake Haener had 18 reps. So a lot of positive stuff going on for Spencer. He's obviously more developed than any of the rest of them. Credit to Coach Moore giving Haener an opportunity to see what he can do in 3 years as being the Saints quarterback, or being in the building, to see what he picked up. And he's trying to, and credit to Haener, he's trying to keep it close. You know, he's trying to be amongst the mention. Now, of course, we know that Hunter Dekkers, who didn't separate himself in the competition, was put in the street. We'll talk about that. But Spencer Rattler, 9 of 12. He had a touchdown. Altogether, he's 61 of 83 with 8 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns against 3 interceptions. That's the tally on Spencer Rattler as it stands up to now. Now, Tyler Shuck is 4 of 8 yesterday for 1 touchdown. He had 2 picks, not a good day for him, but his overall 4 camps is 34 out of 58, 4 touchdowns against 2 picks. And Jake Haener was 9 of 12, just like Spencer was on Thursday. 52 of 75. He had 5 passing touchdowns against 1 interception. So Jake Haener, depending on how he's doing these preseason games that's coming up down the line, we'll kind of see where he falls in the mixture. But can Jake Haener keep it close? He done kind of elevated himself. Now that there's only 3 quarterbacks on the team, if Hunter Dekkers is out of here, then it's now those 3 and how they'll just fall in the lineup of who will be the starter, the second quarterback, and third quarterback. It's all yet to be determined, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, the injuries updates on some of the 9 puppy list players. JT Gray was not there. Of course, Hunter Dekkers was put in the street. Trayton Welch and defensive tackle John Ridgway III. Those guys wasn't seen. Now, Jawan Johnson did go back to practice, though, but in a limited capacity. When you have a groin issue, you have to watch that. Those are very tricky. More updated, these additional absences with Ridgeway and Welch that don't sound like they're anything serious, but in the end, we'll see. But tight end Juwan Johnson recovering from a groin injury that was present, but not participating. But Moore said it wasn't serious. So that is also good to make mention of. Also, as I talked about, man, as we get going, other things to talk about in the practice was the fact that um, the team signed another punter. That's right, they signed another punter to the team, and this was reported on the Saints website that they signed another punter to the team. And who is this man? We got a Kai now. We know Atlanta got a Kai that's a punter. I mean, a kicker. We got a Kai that's a punter to go along in the punting battle. Kai Kroeger is here now. He'll be wearing number 32, a 6'3", 213-pound punter from South Carolina. Joins the Saints after spending one season and off season with the Jets. Signed him as a free agent during following the 25 draft out of South Carolina. He served as a starting punter for 5 years with the Gamecocks and emerged as one of the top punters in school history. Over his career, he recorded 265 punts for over 11,000 yards and averaged just under 40, over 44 yards, 44 and a half yards per punt, with the longest being a 79-yarder, and he 100 down inside the 20. That's all SEC All-American honors in 22 and 24. He also did the thing where he threw a few passes. He was 7 of 10 for 205 yards and 3 touchdowns when they go the little fake punt play and throw a touchdown. So he actually does that little apparatus. This could be something that the Saints look to do moving, in their situation. You never know. But anyway, they added Kai Kroeger to the team and put Hunter Dekkers, who the Saints had brung here. They put Hunter Dekkers in the street. So there you go with that. So like I said, Hunter Dekkers didn't really do too much to kind of, separate himself in the QB race. He really didn't. And of course, a lot of this happened once the Saints tried out, several players, earlier this week. A couple, they tried out the linebacker and 2 punters, 2 tackles. They did get Jonathan Mendoza. So of the last tryouts, the Saints were able to pluck 2 players off the tryout period. We talked about Jonathan Mendoza, who is a former tackle on the Louisville team that Tyler Shuck played for last year. So he gets his tackle here with him. We'll see where the guy is in his development. And also now the Saints have Kai Kroeger on the team to compete with the rest of the punters. So it's going to be very interesting with Matt Hayball and James Burnap is also seen as a very good punter, a college punter going down. So it's going to be interesting, man, no matter how you slice that thing, coming down to what happens. So anyway, that's the thing. So we keep the thing moving and grooving. So let's talk defense, right? So after Wednesday's offensive display outdoors with the chunk play after chunk play, the defense wanted to get a little back. So the defense denied the offense first downs, keep them out of the end zone until the very end of practice sessions. And then in the 11-on-11 drills, linebacker Nephi Sewell intercepted Tyler Shuck on the ball intended for Cedric Wilson that was tipped by Rico Payton. And of course, later in the red zone, 11-on-11 defensive tackle Brian Bresee batted down the 3rd down attempt by Spencer after a fiery rush by him and Chase Young. Then a series later, Tyler Shuck was picked off again, this time by Jordan Howden, who'd been making plays at the goal line on the back foot throw, from the 20-yard line. Now, Howden took it back the other way. Rookie free agent Wake Forest linebacker Jacine Davis had 2 sacks. That's another guy that we talked about when people asked me about who's Q's dark horse players. Matavo, Jacine Davis. We talked about Dallas Beenum. We talked about, a couple of these guys that could really make Donovan Peoples-Jones, even though we haven't heard anything from Donovan Peoples-Jones. We like him. But Jacine Davis was another guy that, remember, the Saints pulled him in. He was the highest paid undrafted guy that he had. And they think of him as something that could possibly help the team. So a lot of competition on that defense. The running game was practically non-existent. The lanes were hard to come by. All practice, the defense played with a ton of energy, and with each passing stop, continued to get louder and louder on the sideline. The competition came to an exciting end as the final 2-minute drill came to close, leading to the play of the day. So what was that? It seemed defense was denying the quarterbacks the opportunity to give their teams the lead situationally, starting from the 40-yard line with about $1:40 left in the fourth quarter. They were trailing 24-20. Spencer drove the team to the plus 30 after 8 plays, but clocked the ball with 3 seconds left. No Hail Marys were allowed. Shuck drove his drive unceremoniously ended with a sack by Chris Rump II, who continued to step up, who had 2 sacks on the day. And then there was a fumble recovery. Then it was Hayner's turn. And after a controversial 9-sack, Hayner completed a tough throw and a better catch by Dante Pettis down to the 40. Eventually, the ball would rest at the 13-yard line with 2 seconds left, setting up a thrilling conclusion. One play for the win for either side. Hayner took the snap. He avoided the pressure. He rolled out to his right. And as he neared the sideline, he threw one toward the back of the end zone where Mason Tipton was coming across, tightly guarded by Rajon Wright. The throw fell incomplete, and the defense celebrated. And unfortunately for them, however, the side judge drew a pass interference flag on Wright, drawing to the upsetness of the defense and setting the offense up for a 1-yard line untimed down to practice. Now, Hayner again rolled to his right after the snap, and in a beautiful timing pattern, found Tipton at the back right pylon for an end zone for the winning score. So ignited an offensive celebration and total disgust from the defense. Fun way to end camp, right? As we head, as the team heads to a day off. So Friday's going to be a day off for the team, and they'll come back on Saturday. So they'll just have to eat that one. So the good defensive plays by the defense, and that's something we talked about. Iron sharpening iron and this sort of thing. And it'll be interesting to see how the Saints continue to develop. We'll see more on Saturday about the black and gold, man, as we keep this thing moving and grooving. All right, y'all hit the like button as we keep this moving. Let's talk about some news outside the building, right? How about this one for you guys? Shout out to New Orleans Saints Sports Illustrated, Kyle T. Mosley. Appreciate him and his team. Saints news trade request stuns NFL. Should have New Orleans' attention? Could the Saints make a move? Now, this is interesting because a lot of you guys have currently heard about what's been going on with the Washington Commanders and a top wide receiver threat, Terry McLaurin, who requested a trade, according to Jordan Schultz, one of the NFL insiders, and he said that, but ESPN's Adam Schefter joined in as well and followed up the report, saying that Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has requested a trade. Multiple sources tell Schultz. Terry McLaurin requested a trade. As Jordan Schultz reported, Schefter said there has been teams that have contemplated making a move for the disgruntled wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, but the Commanders have no interest in moving on from him. Now, he's just 29 years old and is a 2-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro last season. He had over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns and a career-high 82 grabs. Right now, the Saints' top wide receivers, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks, very solid top trio that can compete with any team's top 3 on paper. Last year, all 3 dealt with various injuries that made them miss time. Adding McLaurin would be a luxury that could help take the offense to another level. Right now, the Saints have over $20 million in cap space remaining. A deal doesn't seem likely by any means. Probably it's just a pipe dream, but when a player like McLaurin puts in a trade request, it's worth listening. So what do you guys think about McLaurin? Like I said, I think he was Mr. Everything for them. I think he reported to camp and he had some sort of injury that he's trying to work through. But the Commanders would be wholly stupid if they let McLaurin out the building. I think he wants more money. He wants some more money, another contract. And with the transformation the Commanders had last year with Jaden Daniels and McLaurin and others, was just miraculous how they were able to do it. But he was one of the main pieces, but just helping drive that Commanders team to respectability. But now, I think eventually he's looking for a contract, and I think he'll ultimately get it. I don't see them putting him in the street. They don't have a viable option for Terry McLaurin, and that'll be a foolish move. So I think ultimately this will work out. But if this was a real thing, and the Washington Commanders really wanted to trade him, of course the Saints should be a team interested in him. We know we have the issue with Chris Olave. The Saints have to figure out what they're going to do with Chris Olave eventually. And that is basically predicated on what his season looks like this year, right? We know that Rashid Shaheed also has an agreement. He got a deal coming up soon where he's going to need, Saints going to have to look at paying him. And this is a part of it. So, when you have that happen, you can understand why people will take a look and say what they say, right? All right. What do you guys think? Put it in the comment section. Let me know what you feel about that. I don't think the Commanders get rid of him. All right. And of course, the final story right here. Shout out to Saints Wire. Predicting the New Orleans Saints 53-man roster going into preseason. Which 53 players will be on the week 1 roster? This is going to be a tough one. It's always difficult to whittle them down. The 53 is going to be interesting. So with more than a week into training camp, the 7 practice sessions and walkthrough session behind them, so what have we learned about the Saints team? What are their strengths? Where are they weak? Who's going to be the starting quarterback in week 1? And how many of their rookie draft picks aren't going to make the cut? Too soon to answer those questions, but we'll try anyway. After reviewing the practice notes and digging into week 1 rosters that Coach Kellen Moore and defensive coordinator Brandon Staley have built with their previous teams, here's our best guess at which 53 players will take the field in September. So let's look at what the Saints Wire predicts as those guys in the order of which those guys. So you can see right here, quarterbacks, he got Rattler at the starter, Jake Haener at 2, and Tyler Shuck at 3. No cuts, right? Now, this is the ball down breakdown. Derek Carr already retired. Hunter Dekkers was waived. But all Haener has done through the first week of training camp is build a compelling argument that he's more than game ready than Shuck, right? And both of them are a ways behind Rattler as far as being ready to start a game anytime soon. The status could change. The preseason games will be illuminating. But right now, it's possible that Rattler and Haener are active on game days while Tyler Shuck is the emergency quarterback on standby. It's also possible that this is a feint. And Haener gets let go to maximize Shuck's opportunities at practice. Kellen Moore has typically rostered just 2 quarterbacks in previous stops, but he had 3 of them last year with the Eagles and again with the Cowboys back in 2020. So this is a very interesting point by John Sigler about him. But yeah, he sees it like I see it in terms of the Spencer Rattler thing. I think Spencer Rattler is ahead of Tyler Shuck, and that's okay. He's a rookie. You got to figure it out. These other guys have done it before, and they're used to the speed of the game. It's not going to be easy transition for Tyler Shuck. A lot of people thought that Tyler would end up as a backup anyway. But to see him as a third-string backup, this would be interesting because Jake Haener is outplaying Tyler Shuck currently. He is. And like I said, it'll be interesting. But Spencer Rattler did what we thought he would do. He has an opportunity to do it. He has a feel for it. He's smart. He makes mistakes, but quickly learns. So I do think if things, all injuries aside, and these guys stay healthy, I think ultimately Spencer Rattler will start the season as the starting quarterback. Right? He'll start the season. So I agree with this. All right, that's 3 quarterbacks. Going to the running backs, AK-41, Kendre Miller, and Devin Neal, the rookie. Roster cuts, Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Velus Jones Jr., and Marcus Yarns. Only one of Moore's previous teams rostered more than 3 running backs. In week 1, the 2023 Chargers. Kamara is safe, Miller has been running well, and Neal has offered the most in pass protection, which figures to be his way onto the field. Highly drafted guys like Akers, Edwards-Helaire, and Velus Jones's flash tier are there, but nobody has consistently stood out in the group. Yarns could benefit from some time on the practice squad. That's what I'm saying. Marcus Yarns is definitely heading to the practice squad. Really, and you probably could see a couple other these running backs headed to the practice squad for depth purposes. So if something started hitting the room, we could pull them off the practice squad to help out. But 3 running backs in a running heavy system, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept 4, and the 4th guy would be a return guy, like one of the guys making a name for themselves. If it's not Dante Pettis, the returner, who's the returner? Pettis, Velus Jones Jr. is supposed to be competing there. That's his way onto the roster. So 3 running backs according to Saints Wire. How many tight ends? He says 3: Juwan Johnston, Foster Moreau, and Jake Stoll. Roster cuts: Trayton Welch, Seth Green, Michael Jackson, and Matavo. I would say 4 tight ends, but we'll roll with him. We're assuming Hill starts the regular season on the PUP list, and while that feels like a safe guess, you never know with him. Welch has been playing some important roles on special teams with the punting unit, and Stoll is the best blocking tight end on the team. We'll go with Stoll for now. Morrow is hurt too, but he should be back before Hill, and we'll see how each of those situations play out, though, the preseason. Matavo wouldn't make sense on the practice squad. Most teams typically registered 4 tight ends, so this is unprecedented. So that's my talking point on when we talk about these tight ends, right? We always make note that the tight end, I would say 4. I would say 4 of these tight ends the Saints keep, because order for the Saints to end up with 3 tight ends, or they looking to add Matavo to the practice squad, he got to clear waivers. Matavo's not going to clear waivers. I don't think he would. So I would definitely keep 4, because Juwan Johnson starter, Foster's on a 1-year deal, Taysom's on a 1-year deal, Jake Stoll is on a 1-year deal, and the future of the position is not currently on the route. So I would definitely keep Matavo, because Foster Moreau has a leaky injury history. You can't count on Stoll. He's the blocking tight end, and you want to have somebody there just in case Juwan Johnson gets hurt. So having Matavo there will help the Saints not only groom a tight end for the future, who will probably be the second guy behind Juwan Johnson once these other guys' contracts are over with, but it would be smart to do that, because you need to have that guy at the position. He's a big tight end who can't catch runs. You just have to train him up and get him ready for the system that you in. So there you go. All right, how about the tackles? Left tackles: Kevin Banks Jr. and Landon Young. Roster cuts of Barry Wesley. The rookie first-round pick has more than held his own at left tackle and is expected to be impact starter in week 1. Young is versatile backup who can help out at right tackle and guard too. This one's easy to project. How about the left guards? All right, left guards: Trevor Penning, Dylan Radunz. Roster cuts: Easton Kilty. Penning has seized his opportunity after moving to the left guard and could very well play his way into a new contract if he puts it all together. If he struggles, Dylan Radunz is an experienced backup to have behind him, but Kilty has tried out a couple of different spots and could re-sign with the Saints practice squad for a longer addition. I agree with all of that. Center: Eric McCoy and Will Clapp. Torricelli Simpkins is also there. One more time, the Saints went 1-11 in games McCoy missed or exited early due to injury last year. Clapp has struggled at times in camp, but he is still their next best option, and his ability at guard, or utility at guard, makes him worth holding on to. Torricelli Simpkins moves well from the guard spots, but has some rough moments at training camp, and his brief tryout at center didn't go well. Yeah, Torricelli Simpkins is a practice squad center. Will Clapp is backing up McCoy. That was easy to read too. The right guard situation: Ruiz and Nick Seldaveri. Roster cuts are Kyle Hergel and Torricelli Simpkins III. Seldaveri hasn't stood out one way or another, and at this time he could be on the outside looking in. He needs a good preseason. You can make an argument for holding on to Hergel, but at this time we'll try and stash him on the practice squad. Moore's previous teams kept 5 interior linemen in most years, but sometimes went as high as 7. 6 isn't unusual for him. So 5 starters and 3 reserves. And based on the Saints' injury situation, I wouldn't be surprised if they had 4 guys, at the guard position. But you will see. But Nick Seldaveri hasn't done a damn thing since he's been here. It'd be miraculous to just have him to stay healthy. Right tackle position: Tali Fuaga, Josiah Raheem. Roster cuts: Jonathan Mendoza. Maybe the Saints would keep Seldaveri or Hergel instead of Raheem, but the third-year pro looks like a player on the rise, and we're making room for him. Raheem has been Good to right tackle on the second and third string offensive line. He's cross-chained at the left tackle position, and we'll find out sure in the preseason, but he seems to be putting some things together. Morris teams usually roster 4 offensive tackles. That's right. So 2 starters, 2 backups. We'll see Mendoza. Mendoza got here a little late. They just signed him a day or two ago. So he is behind the curve. It's still a lot of time for him to make his presence felt. And then on top of that, when injuries start piling up as we get deeper into camp, things could very well change at these positions along the line. Wide receivers, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, Mason Tipton, and Cedric Wilson Jr. The roster cuts: Bub Means, Dante Pettis, Kevin Austin Jr., Chris Tyree, Moochie Dixon, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. This is a frustrating group, right? Frustrating group. He says Means hasn't shown enough at camp to make the team with just 2 catches through the first 6 days of team drills. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been quiet this summer since signing. He really has. You haven't heard anything from him. Cedric Wilson has been at the scene. Too many turnovers, but someone's more and his staff know well. Austin at least brings some size to the group, but he might be just a guy. If Tipton's training camp highlights are legit, though, he could turn the receiving course fortunes in a hurry. Now, this is definitely a different group. We know obviously who the top 3 are going to be. We know Olave, Rashid, and Cooks are going to be there. Mason Tipton did this last year where he stepped up and stepped out. A receiver that has it all. If he was 6'1" or 6'2", he really sought after, but he makes all of the catches. I don't know what the Cedric Wilson Jr. call. I really don't agree about that. I think Cedric Wilson Jr. should be the odd man out for Bub Means. Bub Means has a lot more, a higher upside than Cedric Wilson Jr. Like I said, Dante Pettis is a returner. So I could kind of argue the Tipton and Wilson Jr. I think Bub Means and Pettis, you would be those guys if Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't step up and step out. It's still a lot of time right now. I haven't seen anything from Cedric Wilson Jr. Mason Tipton been cutting up. But yeah, at the same time, I can't say Cedric Wilson stays simply because he worked with Kellen Moore in Dallas. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, special teams. James Burnip wins the punting duel. I agree with that. I think James Burnip eventually beats all those guys. I mean, I think he's the guy. Blake Rupe obviously won his kicking competition. Long snapper Zach Wood has no competition. Roster cuts: Matt Hayball, Charlie Smith, Kai Kroeger. 3 different punters are in camp right now. The Saints haven't had an incumbent hold on the job in years. On top of that, Burnip recently started holding kicks for Group A. So that at least demonstrates his willingness to do what he can do to help his case. Smith isn't proving to be a serious threat to Group A. A strong preseason could help Hayball fend off his competition, but right now we're guessing he gets bumped off. We need to see more than day one, more one day of work from Kroeger. So James Burnip to me got the position because he is a serious punter. We've seen what he did at Alabama. He's been punting really good in camp. One thing about him, he's good directionally. His punts have humongous, time up in the air, and it allows the coverage teams to get to where they need to be. So right now he has it, but the Saints are really looking. When you have 3 punters, they're really looking for the guy. So Kai Kroeger is also a good punter with a lot of experience, and it's going to be interesting to watch those 3 punters try to earn that position. They're trying to really turn that special team unit around, right? All right, let's head on the defensive side now. Nose tackle, zero technique. You got Devon Gochos there with Omari Thomas, the rookie. They believe that John Ridgeway will get cut. He's currently hurt, by the way, but they say nothing serious. And Christian Boyd. Now, Gocha has been a force at training camp, and the team, they're saying the team is counting on him to help engineer a big turnaround in their run defense this season. Neither Boyd nor Ridgeway have made much headway in the competition for the job as the backup. Thomas's flash potential as a pass rusher. He could leapfrog Ridgeway and Boyd with a strong showing in camp. So they're looking at Omari Thomas, the rookie, undrafted rookie, to step in and do something positive there. That'll be tough. I still like Christian Boyd for this job. But like I said, 6'2", 330 pounds. He fits well there. He got a nonstop motor. Be interested to see what Coach Bo Davis could do with Christian Boyd. Can he get him revved up? John Ridgway III, another massive defensive tackle. But, you're looking for that right zero tech that can come in and finish. I think Christian Boyd might be interesting, but Omari Thomas have been looking good. He go to defensive tackles or the three technique, two of those guys, Brian Brissy and Colin Saunders. Brissy seems to really be coming along after a breakout year, would be good. Thomas could possibly make Saunders expendable, but Brandon Staley has always kept 4 dedicated interior defensive linemen. So for now, we got these 3 plus Devine Gocho at the defensive tackle. Yes, we'll see how that goes, man. That's a lot going on there. And of course, the defensive end of the 5 technique, Nate Shepard, Jonathan Bullard, and Vernon Brockton, who's the rookie. Roster cuts Jonah Williams. Tough to leave Williams off of this, and he could be one of those veterans who started the season coming off the practice squad for a few weeks after getting promoted to the active roster. But Bullard and Shepard have been splitting reps with the first defense, and Brockton doesn't appear to be far along as we led to believe when the Saints drafted him. Right now, we're guessing he would be a healthy scratch on game days. He's raw. A lot of the stuff that we've seen, he has it, but it's a process. So, yeah, Jonathan Bullard competing with Nate Shepard for the 5 technique. We'll see how it goes. But Jonathan Bullard has a real good opportunity to step in and beat Nate Shepard and take that job from him, right? I see Nate Shepard mostly as a reserve defensive lineman anyway. And edge rushers, the 7 technique, Chase Young, Carl Granderson, and Cam Jordan. Roster cuts Chris Rump II, Isaiah Foskey, Fadil Diggs, and Jacine Davis. Foskey's entering dire straits. If he can't give the new coaching staff a reason to keep him on the roster this season, they won't have one because they haven't seen it yet. He just isn't making an impact. If we had the room, we'd go with Rump instead and keep 4 edge rushers, but the only 3 guys get real minutes on game days. Yeah, and Chase Young, Carl Granderson, we understand that. Cam Jordan, we understand that. It's just, it's very in there. Chris Rump has been really doing a good job playing. Haven't heard too much from Foskey or Fadil. Jacine Davis is in there making plays as well. So it'll be these will be tough cuts on the defensive side because some of these guys are really balling. The linebackers, 6 linebackers, DeMario Pete, Danny Stutzman, Nephi Sewell, DeMarco Jackson, and Jalen Ford. Right? Roster cuts, Isaiah Stallbird and Tyreen Powell. Looks like the Saints finally have some real depth at the linebacker. Both Sewell and Stutzman have played well at camp, and they're fighting hard to be the next man up. If Davis or Werner missed time this year, Stutzman in particular has been very impressive, and he's quickly taking over as the defensive signal caller when Davis was unavailable for his personal day. This is a good group. Could they look at trading Werner to an open spot and getting one of those guys on the field? Trade Werner to open up a spot. DeMario Davis, Pete Werner, Stutzman, like those Nephi Sewell, Jalen Ford. DeMarco Jackson, I don't understand the rationale for keeping DeMarco Jackson on the linebacking core. DeMarco hadn't done a damn thing. He got outplayed by Anthony Orji last year. He shouldn't really be on the team. The Saints should have cut him and kept Anthony Orji, but they held on to DeMarco Jackson. DeMarco Jackson does well in playing the run, but he sucks in pass protection. He sucks in that. So Isaiah Stallbird or even Tyreen Powell, I think, should have a better shot at it than DeMarco Jackson. And of course, some of these other guys that they're making mention of could be possibly cross-training for a role like that. Hell, you might see one of these other guys step in and cross-train for the inside linebacker position. But to my count, DeMarco Jackson shouldn't be on this roster. I think one of these other guys should have the opportunity to step over him. All right, the safety position. Justin Reed, Julian Blackman, Jordan Howden, Jonas Sanker, and JT Gray. That's as good as it gets. Terrell Burgess, Ugo Amadi, and Elliot Davison are cuts. It's going to be tough to keep Burgess off the roster. He's willing to be a contributor on special teams and an experienced pro at the position, going through a lot of turnover after Tyrann Mathieu retired. He could be one of those veterans who comes off the practice squad earlier, like Jonathan Abram did in recent years. And, of course, he says Reed and Blackman are your starters, with Howden and Sanker pushing them. If he's healthy, Gray is a no-brainer as one of the special teams. It's the game's top special teammates. This is true. So Not hard to guess that as well. Ugo Amadi got him listed as a safety, but I guess if you need him to, like some of these guys end up on the practice squad, and Ugo, who was playing a nickel position last year in the defense, maybe not so much in Brendan Staley's defense this year because of his size. He likes maybe taller guys there, perhaps. But in the end, I find they'll end up on the practice squad. And then, of course, here go the cornerbacks: Alante Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Isaac Yiadom, Rico Payton, and Quincy Riley. I agree. Outside looking in, Rajon Wright, Jaden Price, Dallas Beenum. How high can Riley fly? He picked off multiple interceptions at training camp and is going into preseason with a lot of momentum behind him. Payton is playing well too, and Yiadom is going to be at least a backup coming off the bench, if not a starter. But this group would look a lot better with a healthy Asante Samuel Jr. leading it. So still very much an interesting thing right there to see. As well, Saints could use another veteran in that mix, but right now that is what it is. All right, and that's what you guys think about the 53-man roster. A couple of them, the majority of the decisions I agree with, some of them I don't. But that's how it is pretty much every year with some of these Saints, right, fam? It's pretty much how it is every year when you look at the black and gold and how they and how when we get to making these roster decisions, somebody always ends up on the outside looking in. And of course, this is another story to kind of talk about, that the Bengals signed former tight end, Seahawks tight end Noah Fant. Of course, this was a guy the Saints were looking at. We're dealing with some injuries and stuff of that sort. But Noah Fant, who was trying to find a place to go to have an impact, he visited with Cincinnati, he came to New Orleans, and then he went to Miami and made the decision to go to Cincinnati and sign a deal. So the Bengals added notable veteran to their offense Thursday, Noah Fant, the 2019 first-round pick, signed a one-year deal with the Bengals. In 6 seasons, Fant started 83 of his 95 appearances. Last year with Seattle, 48 catches for 500 yards in the score. He spent his first 3 years with the Broncos, and he's an Iowa alum. Has explored his options since the Seahawks released him in July. He visited the Bengals, Dolphins, and Saints before ultimately setting his mind to go to Cincinnati. So he joins the crowded tight end room, features Mike Gesicki and Drew Sample as the top options. There's Gesicki is the team's primary pass-catching tight end. Will Sample has been long valued for his contributions in the run game. The offseason, Gesicki signed a 3-year deal worth $25.5 million. Not as good as Jawan's deal at 3 years, $30 million, but it's all good, man. Let me tell you. So there you go. So for the people saying, hey, Q, what's up with that tight end? Is the guy going to sign? The answer is no. He is going to Cincinnati, man, just to be honest with you. So this is pretty much what it is and how it is, man, to be honest with you, with the black and gold. And we'll just keep on searching. So if the Saints feel like they need some more help at the tight end position, they'll go out in free agency and see about snatching some help up if they so choose to. All right. So anyway, man, listen, man, that's all I got for y'all today. I just wanted to holler at y'all. This update on the Sports Coma. Y'all do me a service. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, the Sports Coma. We up in this thing. The great Saint Think Tank. We up in this thing. So with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the notification bell for future content, man. And listen, I'm going to holler at y'all later on. Much love, peace, and Who Dat to you.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that at. Where we do that at. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that at. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019. Back then, you could get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Today, Mint Mobile's premium wireless has gone up by, that's it, zero. It's gone up $0 a month since 2019. That doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me, but again, you're welcome. And I'm not an accountant. Hate math, always hated math. True story, I was in math 10A when I was in 12th grade.
Being amazing is uncomplicated with Tiege simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.